Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Bowditch Field here in Framingham, Massachusetts, on just a glorious night for some MLU display. It's going to be outstanding. Looking forward to it. 67 degrees here at game time. Light wind at about 8 miles per hour as we settle in. I'm Don Boyle. Jeff Poster alongside for the call of this one. The Philadelphia Spinners trying to get back on the winning side of things after losing 2 consecutive, coming into today's game at 2-2, taking on the host Boston Whitecaps, a perfect 4-0, and coming off quite a lopsided win just a week ago over Washington, D.C., current by the score 24-13. Spinners lost in double overtime last week, so they're trying to they did that at home, too, losing to the New York Rumble 20-17. Jeff, nice to have you on board, and a beautiful night, and looking forward to this nice contest here on MLU Live.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. 2 great teams here. Some calling it the game of the week here for the MLU. We'll see about that one, though, a little later on.
Yeah, when you talk about the game of the week, I think when you kind of looked at this when the season began, both teams, the Spinners winning 2 in a row, off to a hot start, and of course Boston off to a 2-0 beginning. And you said on the schedule in week 5, maybe a battle of unbeatens. Well, the Spinners have stubbed their toe a little bit, but they have the personnel on their team to perhaps turn it around here against a very good Boston Whitecaps squad.
Yeah, it should be interesting, but one of the noticed things here for Philly is they're actually 2-0 on the road. They're 2 losses coming at home, so we'll see if that road luck continues here tonight in Framingham.
It's got to be something to do with the concession stand, I got a feeling, in Philadelphia.
Maybe a little bit.
For the Spinners. Only kidding. The food is outstanding, by the way. In Philadelphia, if you get a chance to go and watch a game, it is a great place to watch. And I'll tell you, this Bowditch Field recently refurbished. They put millions of dollars worth of amenities into the location. It's just a gorgeous field, and they have lined it for ultimate play here tonight. That makes me quite excited. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with more of our pregame show right here on MLU Live after these messages. I'll tell you what, that is well done. Al St. Louis with the singing of the national anthem here at Bowditch Field. We quickly go down to the field. Nick Darling standing along with Sean Murray of the Philadelphia Spinners. Nick?
Thanks, Don. I'm down here on the field with Sean Murray of the Philadelphia Spinners. How you doing today, Sean?
Good. I'm doing good.
So, Philadelphia Spinners coming off of a tough loss last week, double overtime to New York. What's been the attitude of the team during practice this week coming into this game?
Well, it was a frustrating loss, and what we tried to do is really focus on some of the things that we can do better as a team. Obviously, we're coming here playing Boston. They're undefeated, but we're not so much worried about them specifically as what we can do better ourselves.
And you missed that game last week, unfortunately. Now, how does it feel to be back with your team, going into this big game, playing against undefeated Boston Whitecaps?
Well, this is why I play the game. There's some great players here, some of the top guys in the country, and we really like a lot of the matchups that we have against them. So hopefully we can take that to our advantage and put ourselves in a position to win.
Excellent. Well, good luck out there today, Sean.
Thanks a lot, Nick.
Back to you, Don.
All right, thank you, Nick, and some nice words from Sean Murray down below. He did miss last week's game and might have been instrumental as a part of the losing effort by the Spinners. He's such a terrific player. He was highlighted on ESPN for just a marvelous catch a couple of weeks ago. It was absolutely terrific. In a moment, we hope to speak with Jeff Graham down below with Nick Darling if he comes on over to our station field level. Nick has gone from the booth down to the field to help us out here, Jeff. I tell you, he's flexible. He's universal, I guess.
Yeah, and he's been universal for this team. Up here, down there, he's making spectacular catches, throws, everything this Boston team needs. Even last week, able to get on ESPN Sports Center, top 10 plays of the week with a spectacular catch.
Well, it's just perfect weather, as we mentioned. Last week, Philadelphia really struggled in windy conditions in a home game. Well, today it's pristine. There's really nothing to argue about. They do miss one of their key players again, however, a guy, Matt Gallen, who's out of the lineup, a defensive specialist, and a guy that can certainly work that disc downfield with a very strong pull. So they missed that aspect of the game. It was sorely missed last week in their loss.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you're missing someone, one of your better handlers in the game, it's always going to be a tough play to try and make up that body. Boston also missing a key player in Casey Turp after a dislocated shoulder last week. So both teams a little underhanded tonight.
They certainly are. Boston, of course, on that 4-game win streak, many feel they might be the best team in all of the MLU, and we'll find out tonight when they take on the Philadelphia Spinners. We'll go back down to the field now. Dick Darling is alongside the outstanding Jeff Graham. Nick?
Thanks, Don. I'm here with Jeff Graham of the Boston Whitecaps. Jeff, so big week this week, a little Sports Center appearance for you, a big win for your team over D.C. How are you guys, sort of recovering from all that good news to get ready and serious about a game that you're going to be playing today against a tough Philly team?
Philly is a tough team. We really try to focus on us. We ended up with a good result last game. There are still lots of things we can improve on, so we focus on those things, so we're ready to go against this good squad that made the trip up here today.
Excellent. So, undefeated so far in the season. What are the things that you think your team is doing well right now that are keeping you in this winning mode?
We're a deep squad. We have 25 very solid players. I think we're getting better at keeping the intensity up and playing kind of solid ultimate in that way. But like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing the best this team has, and we haven't quite seen that just yet.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing that too. Good luck out there today.
All right.
We'll see you on the field.
Thank you.
Back up to you, Don.
All right, thanks, Nick. Down below, he's got a future, I think, on the field. Great place. Keep him out of the press box, down on the field. Perfect for all of us. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back with our keys of the game right here from Bowditch Field after these messages. nice crowd on hand. Just spectacular weather for the folks in attendance here at Bowditch Field. Don Boyle and, of course, my partner Jeff Poster alongside. And, keys of the game, so important. Teams need to execute. And for Boston and Philadelphia, two teams moving in a different direction over the last couple of weeks, Philly has had problems handling the disc.
Yeah, it always starts with handling the disc. And when you can't make those small dump throws, then you're going to have problems the whole night, and you're forced into those long, deep hucks. And those are much easier to defend. You're going to get Boston, who's a speedy team, can get down the field and get in position in front of their man that they're trying to get that deep bomb to, and they're going to be able to knock that one away or just clearly intercept it. So Philly needs to do a better job with the small, short throws tonight.
And then they got to contend with Jeff Graham. I mean, how do you do that?
Well, he's not one of the hardest people to cover in the league for no reason. Jeff is fast. He can catch. He can throw. He can do everything. And, the best way, you might even see them do a little bit more of a zone defense, try and double up on him, do whatever you can to stop him. And that's not to say you got to stop Brendan Malachek, too, who gets the disc to Jeff Graham. That combo accounts for 40% of Boston's offense so far this season. So it's not Jeff Graham you got to watch out for. It's Malachek as well.
Absolutely. Now, on the Boston side of things, they're like greased lightning. I mean, they do it all right through 40 games at least. Defensively, magnificent. Offensively, they have that quick strike offense, or they can work methodically down the field also.
Yeah, Boston has done a nice job moving the disc both in the small game as well as the long game. They've got plenty of guys. Teddy Brouwer-Jars is a great handler. Even though he's listed as a cutter, he can throw that deep puck on defense and just does a nice job getting Boston down the field. And let's not forget about their defense. They're able to knock discs away like no tomorrow.
You want to check out the MLU website for ticket information for games in your area, and please come on out and support the MLU. It is a terrific league, and I'll tell you what, it's really going to take off. 4 teams on the East Coast, 4 on the West Coast. Whitecaps leading the Eastern Conference, 4 wins, no losses. Spinners at 2-2, the Rumble at 1-3, and the DC Current at 1-3 on the West Coast. Well, it's the Dogfish 3-1, the Rainmakers 3-1, Nighthawks 2-3, the Stags at 1-4. We'll take a break, and we'll be back with more right here on MLU Live. Welcome to Bowditch Field here in Framingham, Massachusetts. Game time temperature at 67 degrees, 8-mile-an-hour winds, and, I'm Don Boyle and Jeff Poster alongside. Philadelphia Spinners are here. They've made the long trip from Philadelphia, coming in at 2-2. They've lost 2 in a row, taking on the Boston Whitecaps, right now the cream of the league. They're at the top at 4-0. They have been outstanding, Jeff, and they'll try to continue their dominance here tonight in the Eastern Division.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy task, though, for Boston to keep this up. Philadelphia's got to be hungry, going down 2 straight losses. And with such a short season here in the MLU, they got to get this win tonight and prevent that 3-game slide because of playoff berth. While we're still, I'd say we're right at the halfway point here, it's still critical at this point, and this could be a breaking point if they drop this 3rd one in a row.
Of course, Jason Adams, the head coach of the Boston Whitecaps, got to be feeling good about the way his team has been playing, a team that's really stayed injury-free, which is very, very important. And Bill Maroon has contended with some injury and some absences with a couple of players, but he's a feisty guy. Fitness is the key to Philadelphia, and I thought they kind of lacked that over their last 2 games and their losses, Jeff. So we'll see what happens.
It's a little tough, too. They got to feel bad. They gave New York as well as D.C. both their first wins of the season. So they would like to be the first to unseat Boston in the undefeated column this time around.
Philadelphia in their blue uniforms, sharp-looking uniforms, darker blue numerals on those uniforms, and the Boston Whitecaps in their black uniforms, and try to figure that out. Whitecaps, black uniforms, and we're just about ready to go with the gray numerals. Out of town, second quarter on the West Coast, Vancouver and San Francisco on a windy day. They're tied at 4 in the second quarter, and this one is underway with a good, strong pull. And a chance now for the defense to hustle down the field as starting from their own end zone will be Boston with the first touch here. Let's see what they can do. And what their strategy might be as they work to the center of the field is Marquette will control it there, and he's marked quickly by Perifico. That was a high throw. Danny Clark, one of my favorite players, with a nice catch. Pryle with a throw downfield. It was misaimed, and Leon Chow with the interception. And let's see if they Spinners can now capitalize on some transition, so their defense off to a good start, Jeff.
Yeah, so far Philadelphia just getting the better positioning there on that throw. Tough choice by their Peter Pryle.
Michael Panna, who was disappointed with that loss last week, with a long huck for Murray towards the end zone. That's batted away. Some great defense. Pryle got there and batted it away on the far side.
Well, Pryle made that errant throw before. He's got to make up for it, right? So he races down the field. Great positioning, great D there for Pryle.
Is that the matchup we're going to see as he was covering Sean Murray that time? Looked like Murray was in good position, too, to make the catch. So both teams have turned it over early. We're scoreless in the first minute of play, and there's a little floater. It's got out in the left by Jeff Graham. So Graham on the field with Murray. They're going to rule he was out of bounds, and it's going to be back to the Spinners on that far side, and Bear's going to put it in play. So what an opportunity for the Spinners to jump out to the early lead and perhaps put a little pressure as they'll dump it back. Showing some patience offensively now, Perifico. As they move it around, that's Brazzi, Bayer, near side. Patrick Lindsay back to Bayer and in for the score. Michael Panna on the receiving end as he found a little seam in the middle.
Yeah. Panna doing a nice job finding that hole. Normally you don't see an ultimate player sit there and stay still for so long, but Panna able to kind of throw Boston off guard and get a nice easy score there to start this one off.
Well, Michael Panna certainly playing with some desire here today as we take a look at Michael, and a replay of that nice soft toss by Bear in for the score.
Yeah, you see 3 Boston players just kind of watching Panna as he stands there, so I'm sure head coach Jason Adams is going to have to talk to them quickly about that and make sure that mistake doesn't happen again.
So the Spinners on board, leading at 1-0, 1:35 into the opening quarter, and they'll pull again from left to right. Harrison Tregoob with the pull. He was a terrific player last year for the Spinners in the AUDL, and really trying to get back in the form this season for Philadelphia here in the MLU. Tregoob will pull that one to the sideline and out of play. That was not his form, not his style.
Not exactly what you want. I can see what he's trying to do. He's trying to keep it low and let it roll maybe a little bit, but just the execution wasn't there that time for Tregoob.
That pull was a bit into the wind, which is blowing the length of the field if we take a look at the flags up above on the far side. So working with a short field, and there's a hammer thrown by Alex Cooper to the far side. It's on the money, and the Whitecaps looking to capitalize quickly as Pryle will feed it in for the score, and there you go. A quick one on the receiving end, Danny Clark to tie it at 1 here.
Well, you know, Don, one of the old favorite sayings of a lot of ultimate players are hammers win games. Alex Cooper starting that one off with a hammer. Nicely done. See it again here. Nice start here for Cooper. Able to get it over all the way to the other side of the field. And Danny Clark quickly trying to set up his position. Pryle thought about going to the right, but there's Clark right on his left. Easy score for Boston.
So Danny Clark with the goal, and the hammer, my favorite throw. I just love that, the way it edges in there. So the pull now from left to right as Boston capitalizes off the miscue by the Spinners to tie it at 1. Comes at 1:46 of this opening quarter or so. Don't worry, Jeff, I'm not a real stat guy. By the end of the game, I don't know what I'm talking about. There's a pull that's going to sail to the far side now to play, and the Spinners now will work with a shorter field. David Bear out there. David has been a consistent performer for the Spinners throughout the season. Lights are on here at Bowditch Field. Not needed as of yet. Crowd still making their way in. Well, about 20 years ago, I was here calling high school football games for a local radio station. What a change in this facility. It's gorgeous. There's a long huck downfield, and it's just too far ahead. Trying to chase it down was Patrick DeVinny. Just couldn't catch up to it. He had a big game last week in that loss for the Spinners.
Yeah, that throw just a little bit too much on it. DeVinny did a nice job. He did have the position. He had his man beat, but just a little too much trying to catch up to that one.
So we've seen a lot of turnovers already in this game by both teams. 1-1 your score. Boston starting from their own defensive goal line. Being trapped right now is DeVinny with a pretty good mark. Really a nice play defensively by the Spinners to knock that pass down with a hand block, but Hirschberger plays it to the near side here. Hatchet, they dump it off. Looking for the swing, it's not there. Going to huck it downfield. They got a player wide open. It sails to Simmons into the end zone, and it's knocked away. DeVinny got back there and made a big defensive play.
DeVinny, nice job there. Good positioning. They had Simmons there just waiting for it, but DeVinny with the better leap there to knock that one away. Defense has been a good story so far here early on.
Really has. Simmons might have been guilty of waiting for that huck downfield right there, Jeff, instead of going after it.
Yeah, you see, it does float a little bit, and Simmons might have been able to try and guide it along a little bit more, chase it down, and just the weight, like you said, Don, kind of made it cost him just a bit.
Benny with a fine play. This is David Bayer now at his own goal line, drops it off to Nick Hairnet. Nick takes this game seriously. He's all upset that his squad is marred in a 2-game losing streak. To the near side, it comes to Matt Glazer. Here's Trey Katzen back. The Bear to the sideline. So they're working the sideline. Looks like Boston trying to go more man-to-man defensively, and there's an errant feed. Glazer couldn't get to that. Another turnover. And Neff will float one out to the near side here. So both teams just trying to feel their way through the opening quarter here. Game with a lot at stake in this one. If the Spinners win, they get Boston at home again next week. Myers. Nice toss in for the score. Hirschberger on the receiving end, and the Whitecaps will take a 2-1 lead.
Well, Hirschberger had a big week last week against D.C., and continuing the trend there. Robin Myers, good throw. As we'll see, Hirschberger had a bit of a slashing motion here on the replay. You see Robin Myers just waiting. Hirschberger might have called out for that slash as he goes right into the alley, the lane there, I should say, for Robin Myers' throw.
4:03 time of that goal. So it's 2-1. Boston Whitecaps on top of the Spinners. Well, the Spinners turned it over in their defensive half of the field, and the Whitecaps didn't waste much time.
That was the story last week, too, against D.C. Whenever D.C. turned it over, Boston quickly, their defense able to turn into great offense.
Mike Miller with the pull. Miller, a very strong player. Sometimes goes unnoticed, doesn't he? So he's like one of the unsung heroes on this Boston Whitecap team.
Yeah.
There's the pull downfield. Good strong pull with the wind at his back into the end zone. And let's see what the Spinners can do. Hairnet. Bayer takes a look. Nothing downfield. That's Jonah Wish. Good break to the center. Up to Panna. They're trying to really work it upfield much more quickly than the last possession. Hairnet with an accurate pass into the middle of Murray. Murray well marked. Forced to dump it off to Hairnet. Little fake. Mark remains steady. A little contact and a 10-yard penalty to be marked off.
Yeah, a little bit too much contact there from Boston. That'll put the disc in a much better position for Philly here.
Hairnet lays it out. Jonah Wish, who scored his first goal last week. Nice pass into Art Scholl, the dependable Scholl in the receiving end, and the Spinners tie it at 2.
Brian Zidd for Boston there, making a costly mistake, letting his man get behind him. When you're guarding in the end zone, you can never let your guy get behind you. You got to stay in front to get them in front of you. That way you get a better chance to read the disc. We'll see it here right now. Zidd is just kind of hanging out in the end zone there. His back turned to the handler. He did have Teddy Brower-Arjaris there with Scholl between them, but both of them with their backs to the thrower. not a good day for defense right there for Boston.
How quickly did the Spinners move that dish downfield? Took them 39 seconds to tabulate a goal and tie it up here at 2. And really, that's what they need to do to try to perhaps keep that Boston defense off balance, just
That's
like
right,
that.
yeah.
So they pull from right to left. Rousey on the pull. Good strong pull, that wind at his back, and that's going to float into the end zone. So the wind might be a bit of a factor down at field level in this opening quarter. Malachek really with his first touch to Jeff Graham. Graham hasn't even got heated up yet. Little fake. Finds an opening on the dump to the near side. Good flick up ahead. Marquette. They work the sideline. Looked like Pryle's going to set up for the hammer momentarily. This is Graham. Marquette. Cutters downfield. They need to come on back. That clock is ticking. You only have 7 seconds of possession time. Then he got to dump it off. And he was forced to get it to Graham, who smartly came back. Good mark by Chow. Now open is Marquette. Yards from the goal line. Looking, and he's being marked terrifically, and they're forced to dump it back, so they couldn't move it forward. Malachek now along the sideline. Pana stays with him. That's a hustling defense by the Spinners right now. Marquette. Pryle. Pryle looking, nice fake. Short little dump to Cooper. Pryle. Fakes it into the end zone, fakes again, and now he squeezes it through for the score. And they're back on top.
Really holding your breath on that one with that Philadelphia defense. Man to man, they really had Boston swamped right there.
Jeff Graham on the receiving end.
Boston really had to work their short game and make accurate throws. Not a lot of cuts there for Boston. They just couldn't really find an opening against Philadelphia. Finally, Peter Pryle able to get it to who else? Jeff Graham sitting there in the end zone, as we see. And he is pretty happy that one finally got in as he slaps that disc down.
That wasn't the big celebration that we sometimes see, right? That was a celebration of hard work right
yes.
there. Might have been gassed after that. This is Will Neff with the disc in hand. 3-2 Boston on top of the Philadelphia Spinners. Been a very exciting opening quarter of play. You can tell Philadelphia playing with some urgency, trying to get back to the top of the standings in the Eastern Division of the MLU. Jonah Wish will watch it roll. He's going to have to chase it all the way to the back line.
Beautiful pull there by Will Neff.
Really was. Like a golf pole right there, right? I never played, I guess they call it what, frisbee golf?
Frisbee golf,
Yeah.
yes.
I don't want to call it a frisbee when they're playing Elton. This is Jonah Wish with a fake. High pass, nice catch by Shull. He bobbled it. And now he's being guarded tightly by Hatchett. And we're going to get a procedure call and a turnover here. He moved that pivot foot, and there you go. The Whitecaps get it back.
Can't move that pivot foot, and ultimate, that's going to be a travel, and Whitecaps will take over. Big opportunity for him close to the end zone.
That's Horowitz. A little flick ahead. Oh, here that goes over the top. And that was caught down there, I believe. That was some physical play, I got a feeling. But here on the layout, he nearly came up with it.
It's a good bid. Can't really do that, though.
A little pitch out to the right. It is caught for the score. I believe it was Hirschberger on the far. Actually, it was hard to see. It was Hirschberger, right?
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
Hirschberger staying involved again. Like I said earlier, he got that one before. He's picking it up right where he left off last week against D.C. So the whistle kind of cost Philadelphia a chance to set up their defense. As we see here, Hirschberger cutting across nicely there after that whistle. Too much contact there for Philly to try and set up that defense, but I like the enthusiasm, at least on defense.
It was Simmons with that little buttery pass right into the end zone for the score. So 4-2, two-goal lead now for the Boston Whitecaps here in the opening quarter of play with 3:08 remaining. Just want to mention, get your gear from your favorite team, or for your favorite team at shop.mluultimate.com and use the game day only code ThankYouMLU for 15% discount. And out of town in the second quarter, San Francisco has opened up a 3-goal lead over Vancouver at 8-5. They had the scores coming in fast and furious here today. Nice to have you alongside, by the way, Jeff.
Oh, thank you, Don. It's a pleasure to be here.
As that pull into the wind, it got knocked down. Bayer over to Katzenbach. Spinners down by 2. This is a very important possession here. Boston has capitalized with a couple of short field scores. Now Bayer in the middle. Bobbled it again. Jonah Wish, just out of high school. Perhaps the youngest player in the MLU. Art Shell was bumped a little bit. They let play continue on. Glazer to the near sideline. Back to Bayer. David Bayer works at the middle of Wish. Far side, Shell looks in to Trey Katzenbach. I guess Shell didn't see the angle down there in the field. Of course, we have a different view here. The last go slipped, and they're going to call the infraction. I thought he slipped on his own.
That's what I thought, too, but break for Philly there.
And Wish with a nice catch for his second goal of the season as he had to reach behind, and it's 4-3.
Young man getting it done there for Philly. So another whistle right there, basically almost in the same spot there. But back-to-back plays for Philadelphia this time now benefiting. As the throw was really a pretty basic, simple there, right there for Wish. Right in front of the end zone.
7:48 time of the tally. Cuts the lead down to 1. Now the Spinners with that pull into the wind. Has been some difficulty. Only 8 miles per hour, maybe gusting up a little higher than that, but you shouldn't think 8 miles an hour is going to affect the flight of the disc, right?
Well, you know, any little wind can do strange things to the disc sometimes. It'll almost seem like it'll pause in midair occasionally. You'll see it go up, and then it just kind of stops, and you're going to have to wait for it. Sometimes it makes it a little awkward to play with.
2:12 remaining here in the opening quarter. And that's Murray. Will float it downfield. That was a majestic little pull right there. Kind of hung up there and like a kite. Josh Marquette off the right. Has some space to work with. They don't mark him tightly. Marquette will level it upfield to Danny Clark. Clark able to float it over the top of a nice mark. Pryl up ahead. This is Graham. Graham, a little fake. Flicks it out towards the end zone. On the money, Marquette makes the catch. The defense was tight, and it was laid in there perfectly.
Josh the Cricket, they call him. Josh Cricket Marquette. He gets in there. Nice run. I think even a better throw there by Jeff Graham, as we'll see. Jeff Graham with the forehand. He's got the disc almost turned over on his side as he's directing traffic here. He's got Marquette. He knows exactly what he wants. The disc goes up on the right-hand side. Marquette creeping in there nice and quietly and able to beat number 2, Nick Purifico, and gave a nice defensive bid.
Purifico, you're right, gave it a pretty good effort right there. Just that pass too good by Graham. 5-3. Boston on top of Philadelphia. 1:44 remaining here in the opening quarter. They were giving out some prizes up here in the booth prior to the start of the game to a couple of the players for their outstanding work. And good look at the flag up there. That looks like it's blowing harder than 8 miles an hour, right?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe that wind picks up. We'll see how the rest of the night goes.
I use the Galaxy Note. Maybe the iPhone is more accurate with wind speeds. That will flow it out of play on the far side. Field 40 yards wide, I believe that's correct, right? And you got, what, 25 yards of end zone at each end. Lights are on here at Bowditch Field. Looks like the Spinners will get a chance to start from the middle of the field here. Nick Hairnet has the disc in hand.
The disc floating out of bounds gives Philadelphia a perfect chance to set up the exact stack they want. Now we see the breaks coming.
Bayer near side, Art Shell. Shell looks down the sideline, nothing going on there. Oh, Bayer got to it. Now he'll huck it downfield. It's going to become a chase. Wish trying to get to it. There's some help there, and the catch is made. Oh, I tell you, making up ground was Patrick DeVinny on the receiving end.
We've seen DeVinny involved earlier, but not better than that one right there. Hirschberger was right there for Boston, but DeVinny, as we see, here comes the huck. DeVinny reading this one the whole way down. We watch Hirschberger as it slows down, and DeVinny just leaps up, and Hirschberger's hand got there not soon enough. DeVinny was able to run that one down nicely.
Makes it 5-4. I tell you, a great throw. And DeVinny making up some ground. I think Wish became a decoy on that play right there, didn't he? Well, 5-4 Spinners. Down by 1 as they pull it to the Boston Whitecaps from left to right. One of the many reasons why you're watching this gorgeous live video stream today. Elemental Technologies, you can check them out at www.elementaltechnologies.com. You can follow them also at Elemental Tech on Twitter. They do a great job. I tell you, great backbone for MLU Live. This is the Boston Whitecaps at control. What a fake there by Malachek. He had the fans oohing.
That's what they want to see.
Absolutely. Pryle to the sideline. This is Graham. Waste no time with his quick pass up the field. Alex Cooper. Clark. Clark had an opening. They got knocked down. How are they going to rule that? Lindsay with the contact penalty, I believe. And yes,
they're going to
indeed,
call it
that's
a
what they'll
foul.
call.
So Disco will go back to Danny Clark, and he'll be able to get another stab at it, just 10 yards closer this time.
I guess if I can call them, they got to be obvious, right?
Yeah.
Clark with a throw. The defense, terrific by Chow as he just was able to cut that pass off, intended for Graham. Well, that is what the doctor ordered for the Spinners, and now in this possession, they can potentially tie it up here, Jeff.
Yeah, their defense is doing a nice job trying to get that disc back in their hands, set up their offense.
If I can use a football term, their goal line defense has been tough.
Absolutely, yeah.
This is Lindsay spinning. Was able to hold that pivot foot. Bozzy to the sideline. Chow with another nice catch with a player draped all over him, and that's Graham.
That was Graham trying to pay him back.
Chow, bubbly catch. They rule it a catch. Oh, I'll tell you. Deflected off his fingertips. His time is going to expire. The throw to the end zone. It will count for the goal, and they got it done at the horn.
Yeah, Philadelphia doing a nice job clock management-wise. They knew the end was coming.
Sean Murray with the catch.
Sean Murray, one of the big players here for Philly. And Boston not really paying attention. They thought maybe that was going to be it. The quarter would end, and Philly able to tie this up as we head to the second.
I'll tell you what a sequence for Leon Chow, as he really was the catalyst to all that, and then Murray able to race on in. We'll take a break. We'll be back with the second quarter right here on MLU Live. We're tied at 5-1. You're not just getting a break after that.
Right.
One quarter of play. Who do you give the first quarter to? Although it's tied, it's an obvious question. Nobody, but did Philadelphia play their game in the first quarter?
Yeah, Boston held the lead for most of that first quarter, but I got to hand it to Philadelphia and their defense. They're really the story so far. They forced Boston into a lot of trouble that they didn't have last week against D.C.
Spinners to control to start the second quarter, tied at 5 here. That's David Baer. Katzen back to control it. Nick Harenetz had a nice first quarter of play for the Spinners, and he's being marked tightly by Myers. Forced to dump it back to Baer. David the Katzen back. Trey looking up Troy. Trey looks upfield, nothing going on. There's that short attack that the Spinners like to use. A little triangle play up the field there, Jeff.
This is the finesse game here. We'll see if Boston's fitness there and defense can keep up with the quick-footed Philly in the short game.
Katzenbach, hairnet playing some catch. A little give and go action. Now they feed it up to Shell. Shell takes a look. Wish was cutting downfield. They go short to Glazer. Glazer to the sideline. Guarded there by Hatchett. Hatchett with the arm spread out. Nice technique, but he finds hairnet back to Bear. Simmons on Bear with the mark. Now to Shull. Nice catch by Shull coming back to the disc. And towards the end zone and in for the score. Well done. Patrick DeVinny on the receiving end. His third goal of the game.
Yeah.
His second goal of the game.
DeVinny all over the place right now so far, and that one just inside the end zone as the replay getting ready to come up here. Philly did a nice job there moving all around the field, up and down, left to right. Here we see Bear thought fake to dump. They get it now on the far sideline. And DeVinny is going to cut across right behind Hirschberger. Hirschberger, again, letting his man get behind him. You don't want to do that. Good job there by DeVinny.
They really gave Art Shell and that mark too much room to that sideline for that throw, too. Virtually uncontested. That's an area where Art Shell has really improved his game, is that passing game throughout this season for the Spinners. A nice assist.
The short game's getting it done so far for them tonight. We haven't seen those long hucks yet.
So Philadelphia now on top 6-5 over the Boston Whitecaps. Whitecaps have had a couple of close games, and they're in a tight one right now with Philadelphia. Good strong pull with the win at the back again, and now the Whitecaps with a chance to advance. Brendan Malachek, the control. Pana gives him a little space on the mark, and it comes to the near side. Danny Clark, Lindsay, trying to squeeze him a little. To the near sideline. Marquette will huck it downfield. Graham's going to chase it. Chow getting back defensively, and he got in his way. Little contact claim by Graham. He's not going to get the call. Is Chow able to recover?
Yeah, Graham not used to those. He used to be able to get those ones down. Chow did give just enough contact that wouldn't warrant a call and disrupts Graham perfectly, as we see here. Graham he kind of hesitated there to go after it, and the disc floats up, and Chow able to leap up right with Jeff. He can't bring it in. Good defense there.
Yeah, that's a good non-call, in my opinion. Jamie Rhodes, by the way, is the head official, the referee down in the field today for the MLU. We've talked about it on occasion. Somewhat of an adjustment playing with officials here at the professional level and with a timepiece. Oh, they turn it over in their own end zone.
And not what you want to do here.
6-5 you score, so they did award it back to Boston. They score as Graham will score on the far side.
Jeff Graham again making a nice cut there in the end zone. Philadelphia. Probably one of the things you want to do the least is turn it over in the end zone and give Boston the really simple chance there. Kind of just float it up and in. And that's exactly what they do here. Cooper setting things up, fakes a couple of directions. He did have one man cutting back for a dump, but it's Graham able to beat his man. And easy score there for Boston to tie this one back up.
So back and forth they go. Tied at 6. How many short field goals today for Boston? At least 3.
Yeah, and that's a testament to Philadelphia's defense. Boston, they're a team that does like to huck it because they can launch those discs down the field, but Philadelphia is not letting them do that.
Will Neff with the pull. Wind at his back. 6-6 game. 7:37 remaining till halftime. You want to stay tuned for halftime. We'll run down all the vital statistical information, of course. We'll take a look around the league with some of the outstanding plays from the MLU just a week ago. Jeff Snyder, the commissioner of the MLU, is going to join us for that segment.
Yes.
I know he's putting his script together now. He was also part of the official coin toss down the field on the decision on who would receive the disc and pull the disc to start this game. Nice opening game ceremonies down below with a wonderful rendition of the national anthem. So the atmosphere is terrific here at Bowditch Field in Framingham, Massachusetts. Oh, did he touch that? Maybe. It sails out of play. Good defense by Hackett. Let's give him some credit right there. I think he at least blinded Katzenbach trying to make the catch.
Yeah, if anything, he at least got in the way, forced the disc to go a different direction they wanted it to.
I mean, you got to credit hustle, right?
Exactly.
This is Neff. Now the Spinners forced to play some defense. Horowitz taking a look, swings it near side to Neff. Shell quickly in his face on the mark. They go across the field, and it's going to float out of the reach of Alex Simmons, and it's right back to the Spinners. So that Spinner defense perhaps forcing that long swing into that flat, and they turn it over.
Yeah, when you want to work that side-to-side game for those dumps, that's not the kind of throw you're looking for, those long ones. You usually get a short thing there.
And not able to pull it off the grass here at Bowditch. He has come to play today. Salasco. Salasco looking, will feed it high to Wish. Wish had it in that hammer throw and decided now to flick it off to Hairnet. Nick with a quick low pass, nice skidding catch by Shull. All right, Shull takes a look towards the end zone. He'll dump it back. Nick Hairnet will feed it up, nice feed, just shy of the line. Wish will wait, just inches away, and finds Art Shell, a little cutback, and that's a score for the Spinners.
Good job there for Philadelphia. Again, a short game is able to pass and able to pay off for them as they're able to dump it back quickly and get it back to one of their main handlers. And that time, Shull doing a nice job. The score there for Wish. Easily there. As Wish hadn't been in at first. Just a nice little dump there in the end zone.
I could have caught that one. 7-6, Spinners back on top, 5:59 remaining till halftime. Of course, you can follow the MLU on their social network to keep up on all the news and events from around the league, like the MLU on Facebook at facebook.com/ML Ultimate, and follow the league at twitter.com ML Ultimate. I do that every day. I'm faithful. It's easy to do.
Technology's a wonder sometimes.
This is the Whitecaps. Down by one. Seesaw battle here today with the Philadelphia Spinners. Little fake by Graham. Chow has really done a nice job on Graham, and that pass too long, and they turn it back again. Jake Taylor just couldn't catch up to that floating disc. And now we get a whistle. An infraction downfield against the Spinners. We're going to get a restart. Yeah, they're going to have to back it up 10 yards. I think that was away from the disc. Some jousting for position, perhaps.
Yeah, but anyway it goes against Philadelphia, pushes them back 10 yards, gives Boston a little bit of a break.
Nick Perifico. A little fake. Plays it to the center. Chow quickly out right. Ozzie taking a look around. Forced to dump it back to Chow, and we get a timeout call by Bill Maroon and the Philadelphia Spinners. Well, with a timeout down on the field at Bowditch, and the score, Philadelphia 7 and Boston 6. We'll step aside as we look at the fans down below enjoying a terrific first half. Back with more on MLU Live. Come on out and enjoy. You can win a free T-shirt, or if you're lucky enough to catch it when they throw it up into the stands. We're in the second quarter. Philadelphia with the lead 7-6 over Boston. Of course, the outstanding MLU website, full of information and updates and statistical information, a whole bunch more. So check it all out and come on out to a game. It is some good stuff. I enjoy it.
Oh, it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Became a fan a year ago.
And now you're an expert, right, Don?
I was a hockey player back in my high school days. You know, I probably would have given it up for this. I mean, all the fanfare and what goes on down below.
A little less
Terrific
contact,
stuff.
too.
That's right.
You won't get those as many injuries, I'm sure.
Ready to resume play after the timeout. First taken by the Philadelphia Spinners. All right, they start play, and Hairnet to control. Nick looks, hucks it. DeVinny Can he get it to the back edge? It's going to be swatted away. Good defense displayed by the Boston Whitecaps as they hustled on back down there. Now, your eyes are younger than mine. Who made that play?
Peter Pryl looked like there on the D for Boston. And that's not what you want to do after a timeout. You really set up your offense here, as we see Hairnet again. That's one of the first long hucks we've seen out of Philadelphia tonight. And Peter Pryl, as long as Hirschberger there in two, maybe cause a little bit of disruption, but Pryl's the one who actually gets the tip.
Yeah, he got just enough. If Hairnet got a little more height on that, they might have had one. This is Graham to the far sideline controlling. Whitecaps down by 1. Glazer all over Graham. They've tried a variety of players on him, and there's I don't know how you throw a thing like that, right? Like a boomerang right back to Clark. Well, that one laid up there, and it's going to be Pryl who can't come up with a catch. He claims he was played physically, but the officials see it differently. And the ill-advised pass, I guess, in reflection. And the Spinners with it now, Katzen back in the middle.
Now Pryl pleading to the refs that he might have been pushed a little bit. Normally that'd be a foul.
This is Matt Glazer. Back to Nick Hairnet. Nick takes a look, directing some traffic. Up in the middle. Glazer looks, fakes. Glazer, nobody marking him back to Hairnet. I don't know if that was a mistake defensively or not, and it's Archell! And he skies just a little to make the catch, Archell.
Arthur Scholl there. It's always great to play Ultimate when you got a tall guy on your team because you can just kind of throw it up there. He's going to be the first one to get to it with those long arms. And Scholl, I think, had a bit of height there as we see it again. He's able to just reach up, pull it down, and right at the end of the end zone, no one was watching him. Great reel in there, and now a 2-goal lead for Philly.
The Spinners with their first 2-goal lead of the game. They had a 1-0 lead. Boston took a 2-1 lead. Spinners tied it at 2. Boston took a 2-goal lead, and Spinners now have battled back to take a 2-goal advantage with 3:29 remaining till halftime. Big possession here for Boston. Well, you get a chance to see more of the Whitecaps than I do. I get a chance to see more of the Spinners than you do, and they're playing much better than they have been. What's going on with the Whitecaps?
I think it starts on their defensive end. I don't want to call it lazy, but they seem to just be behind a little bit on their plays so far tonight. So we'll see if they can pick it up. They were a big second-half team last week. That's where they did most of their damage. We'll see what happens going forward.
This is Graham. A little flip up ahead. Malachek. He'll huck it downfield. Good, strong throw. Look at that. On the money. Score. Brian Zid on a beautiful pass.
Zid had his man beat all the way downfield. Just had to pretty much run with the disc and race to get in front of it so he can make that easy catch. Quick offensive strike back there for the Whitecaps. Trying to climb back into this one.
So they nibble at that Spinner lead. We'll see that again.
Yeah, Malachek. He's one of their best handlers, and there's Zid all alone. Just has to run, and he's aware of where he is, makes that leap into the end zone. It even looks like his shoe might be untied.
He had a step on Lindsay. It was interesting. Clark looked like he was going to go up for the disc, and I don't know if that was just great communication between Zid and Clark, but Clark did not reach for it, and it just fell right into the hands of Zid for the score. So 8-7 the tally now. Just want to mention Friction Gloves, the official glove provider to the MLU. These all-weather gloves are specially designed for ultimate players, combining the tackiness of receiver gloves with a rubberized grip for better catches and throws, of course. Look for the Friction Gloves Catch of the Week throughout the season and get an official MLU pair for yourself soon from the MLU shop. Visit frictiongloves.com to learn more. Spinners with it after the Whitecap goal. Hairnet, into the middle, they work it. So Lasco seeing a lot of time on the field this week for Bill Maroon. I think he's gone a little deeper on his bench. Shell, that's deflected, and it's going to be knocked down, and it's turned right back to the Whitecaps. Somebody leaped high in the middle of the field there and deflected that pass.
I read that perfectly for Boston. Philly had their man headed downfield. Boston knew it. Now they'll take a little bit of time here getting to the disc, but great tip.
Might have been Robin Myers who got a hand on it. That was a great read from about 20 yards away from the original starting point of that pass upfield. There's a low throw, a rolling catch. by Myers. And he'll huck it downfield, and it's going to find its mark right on the money to Neff. And they got the numbers, and it's tossed into the end zone. It's going to hang and knocked away by Bear. It just floated away. It was too elusive for Simmons to get.
Alex Simmons waited too long, but that wind is playing a factor so far tonight, pushing that disc higher and higher. And Bear with the better leaping ability. Nice D. Here we see it again. Simmons reading it, able to get his jump, but not quite high enough. And Bear makes him pay.
Spinners, last time they were in a situation like this in their own end zone, they turned it over, leading to the short field score by the Whitecaps, and now they're going to mark tightly again. David Bear, upfield, they work it now. Velasco feeds it to Show. Wish breaking downfield, Show with the fake, and got it to Wish on a nice cut to the far sideline. Well, it's nice to be young, isn't it? Just run all over the place. Hairnet near side, Cats it back. Wishing he was young. Up the Show. Art takes a look. Back to Nick Hairnet. Over to Trey, Cats it back near sideline. Spinners are accurate with their passing here today. Much better than the last couple of weeks. And they have the 1-goal lead as a result. Shaw with a fake. Backhand pass, and that's going to float away. I knew it. As soon as you say it, you jinx them, and they turn it over. Simmons on the defense. Now, wait a second. What do we got going on down there? Maybe a timeout
Just
by the
timeout.
Whitecaps. Yeah, with 50 seconds left. A pretty good timeout called here by Jason Adams, the head coach of the Boston Whitecaps. With a timeout down below, we'll step aside. We'll be back with more coverage of the MLU on MLU Live. Spinners, they lead the Whitecaps by 1. All right, right back here at Bowditch Field. If you're wondering who is the stat leader in the MLU here in 2013 through 4 weeks of play, it's Timmy Pearston of Portland, the Stags, with 24 points, and Ben Faust of the Rumble, along with his partner in crime, Christopher Mazer, tied with 23 points, second and third. So here's your leaders. And then, of course, Jeff Graham right after that with 22 for the Boston Whitecaps. Timeout over. What were the Whitecaps talking about down there? Working that clock down and putting in that game-tying score?
It's like Boston wanted to switch their offense and defense out here now that they get 50 seconds. We'll see how much they work the clock here before halftime, trying to tie this up.
Remember, the Spinners scored a goal at the end of the first quarter as time ticked off the clock. The buzzer had sounded, the disc was floating in the air, and they cashed in on the catch. Ooh. Graham tried to huck it. It was knocked down by Murray. Big transition right here. Chow looking to the end zone. Good low throw, nice catch, and it's in for the score to Nick Perifico. That was all made by Brazzi. Made a nice catch down low, and just like that, a 2-goal lead for the Spinners.
Yeah, Philly doing a nice job again, turning their defense into better offense there. The knockdown nicely after Jeff Graham. Jeff Graham's been a little bit off so far tonight, and Philly able to capitalize on that. Easy score after the knockdown, and a great catch right there from number 64, Frederick Brazzi. Going to his knees. Philly's defense is the story of the game so far.
You are right. Well, it was Graham and Murray with the knockdown, so the two guys we feature in the pregame with the interviews with our own Nick Darling. And by the way, Nick will have an interview at halftime down below. You'll want to stay tuned for that. Also, the plays of the week, as Jeff Snyder will join us for some in-depth analysis. Of course, the former coach of the Philadelphia Spinners, so he knows a little bit about this game. Now the commissioner of the MLU. And we'll run down standings and a few other things. You know, a lot to do at halftime. Nice to have Jeff Poster alongside. There's a huck, and they get it. It's going to go towards the end zone. Float, and caught. Score. Trial on the receiving end, and the Whitecaps make it a 1-goal game, 9-8.
Peter Pryal there showing his speed. There was no one even within a mile of him, it looked like. Great there. Nice huck here from Jake Taylor. He sees Pryal. He's running down the field. He knows that he's got all day to get to this one. Just kind of watches it, and here floats right into his arms nicely. Peter Pryal with a great rundown.
So 8 seconds remaining till halftime. Back to a one-goal game at 9-8. That's what makes the game so exciting. It's unpredictable, and you can score
just like that.
Just like that. Win, and this could give the Spinners some time to put up one of their own.
Yeah, 8 seconds left. I'm sure Philadelphia will let the disc fall and try and set up as many men deep as they can. Try and get this one just like that.
Crowd enjoying it. Wonder what they're going to do down on the field for entertainment at halftime here at Bowditch Field today. Here's the pull, knocked down by that wind. It's going to roll out of bounds. No time coming off the clock until it's put into play by the Spinners. Hairnet has it, and the clock will tick down. 5 seconds. Catch him back. Going long down the field. A Hail Mary towards the end zone. Up for grabs. It's floating. Players reaching, and it's caught. Wow.
Yeah.
Paparone, Matt Paparone, new to the team a week ago, will make the catch for the score.
Nice entrance to the team for Paparone to capitalize. A great half for Philly. Not what Boston wanted. Was one of those ones that just floats there above about 6 guys. Here we see it. Disc keeps floating. Boston's got 1, 2, 3, 4 guys there against 3. One falls down, and it's Paparone that comes out of the big crowd there. Nail that one down for Philly.
Well, Philadelphia has scored at the horn to end the first quarter. They do it to end the second quarter. They'll go into the halftime with a 2-goal lead at 10-8 over unbeaten Boston. They're playing their game today. The Whitecaps will have to have the biggest second half. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more right here on MLU Live right after this. Back here at Bowditch Field, we have the Philadelphia Spinners on a 2-goal lead over the Boston Whitecaps at 10-8. Guess what? If you make big plays at the end of quarters, you get a little face time. Down with Nick Darling is, Trey Katzenbach. Nick?
Thanks, Don. I'm down here on the field with Trey Katzenbach, who just threw that nice long throw to end the half. What did you see there, Trey? Or was it just desperation at the end?
It was just desperation. We knew we had our big guy line in there. We just wanted to get it to the end zone, and someone made a big play. I think it was Paparone. We just wanted to get out there, and they were unmarked. A little wind-aided, but I got it down there.
So you guys trailed most of the week last week in your tough double overtime loss to New York. How does it feel to go in at halftime with a little bit of a lead up here in Boston?
It feels great. We'll see if we know how to play this way. We've basically been down most of the season, so hopefully they'll come out just as hard as we came out in that first half. We knew that if we came out hard, that they wouldn't know what to expect right away, and so hopefully we'll do just the same thing.
Sounds good. Well, we're looking forward to seeing that second half.
Great.
Thanks, Trey.
Travis.
Thank you, Don. Back to you.
All right, Nick, great work down below with Trey Katzenbach, who made that big play at the end of the half there, giving the Spinners a 2-goal lead with that terrific pass into the end zone there, and quite a catch by Matt Paparone. So we'll take one break, and we'll be back with the plays from last week that made, once again, ESPN and more. That's all upcoming on MLU Live right after these messages. What you're watching this week, you can do it again next week in Philadelphia. But through one half of play here with a big battle, a showdown here in the Eastern Division of the MLU. And at halftime, Philadelphia Spinners leading by the score of 10-8. Jeff Snyder alongside the commissioner now of the MLU. And, of course, the former coach of the Philadelphia Spinners. And we'll start with a little conversation about Trey Katzenbach with that great huck downfield. And I know you were very fond of Trey as a player when you were coaching him.
Yeah, I mean, Trey's brilliant. And he's everybody who knows him knows he's one of the smartest guys on the field that's ever played the game. But, you know, he had a throw there that was uncontested, and that's a bad thing to do at the end of the quarter, and he got it way down there, and they gave him a chance. You don't want to give him a chance.
Absolutely. You know, I know that you don't root for anybody to win now anymore, but
True.
I think you might be rooting for some parity in this league, right, to create a lot of interest, and that's so important. You see it in the NFL, that parity adding more to the interest level.
It's true. One of the things I like so much about this year is that I don't have to care who wins. I just get to watch a great game of Ultimate, and the Boston team's incredible. The Philly team is so much better than they were last year, so it's just it's fun to watch the battle. So it's certainly parity at the moment, though. Every game seems like it's coming down to the wire, and who can enjoy that more?
Now, I can only speak of the East Coast. I can only speak of 3 facilities that we have been to. Bowditch Field, very comfortable, great place for the fans to come watch. Of course, your facility in Philadelphia is outstanding, and New Jersey unique in Union City. I mean, it's on top
of
the
roof.
You know? But I haven't been to D.C., so I don't know what's going on there.
I haven't been there yet either, so I got to make my rounds down there. But, yeah, this field's beautiful, plus it's lined for Ultimate, so it's awesome.
It really is. And, yeah, it makes it a lot easier to call it, too, right?
It does.
But you do not have those reference points, 50-yard line now. You do have the midfield stripe, which is great. So you were talking about great plays. We certainly had some great plays last week throughout the league, and I know you'd like to walk us through all that.
Sure, happy to. Okay, so I know the first play we have is the it looks like it's the friction gloves catch of the week with who else but Jeff Graham, right? The superstar of our league right now. And I think people get so caught up in his skill, which is amazing, but this is Jeff Graham showing what he has that he does better than most, which is hustle. He just keeps running. He runs 50 yards down there to make a play, and he'll make a couple of those a game, and that's why he's a winner.
Defensive player right there for the Current. Very disappointed, I gotta feel it.
And this is so important because Riley Minor-Shagan with, big players make big plays at big times. There's 30 seconds left. They're looking for their first win, and he baits the throw and gets a huge layout. And it's just unbelievable, right? I mean, he secures the game right here. You could hear the fans going crazy. I was watching at home. I was jumping up and down. It was just a fantastic play, and I'll never forget his name now.
Video coverage, by the way, outstanding throughout the league. You guys are doing a great job with it.
Thanks, Don. It does look good. And then, of course, the wave-borne offensive play of the game. And, So we used to call it the offensive play of the game, but because of Timmy Pearson, we got to call it the offensive plays, right? Because he makes so many plays. Here's just an unbelievable jump over 2 Dogfish defenders, and I'm pretty sure they're going to show him just catch the disc repeatedly. He looked like he was completely unstoppable, and even when they did stop him, he looked like he even got lucky a few times. So, just an incredible. Right here is a great one, right? He bats it up, he catches it anyway. So he's just an incredible player, and if he keeps playing this way, they might win a lot of games.
Of course, he's the leading scorer right now in the MLU, and now we know why. He's terrific.
Because he catches everything that comes his way.
He can sky and he can run. He is terrific. And, Jeff, before I let you go, obviously, as the second half of the season moves on, we had double overtime. We got a chance to see what those rules were all about. The playoff format with these games really starting to mean an awful lot in the standings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these guys got to win. They know it. You don't want to leave it to the last game of the season. You want to secure your spot, or you want to have a lot of pressure on your opponents. And right now, in the Eastern Division, if the Spinners lose this, it's anybody's game. And except Boston's going to be way up there, but it could be anybody's game. On the West Coast, I don't know how the game's going right now with Vancouver, but I know they got to win. They just have to win that game. The Dogfish lost against the Stags, and they want to make a play now. And then you have Seattle playing the Stags, and the Stags, if they beat them, they feel like they're back in it. So it's big. It's a tight race. And I know everybody's feeling that pressure.
All right, Jeff, thanks for joining us. As
Thank
always,
you,
great job.
Always
Jeff Snyder
fun.
joining us, the commissioner of the MLU. You're watching MLU Live. We'll be back with more halftime chatter and the second half. A good one. Spinners. All right, right back here at Bowditch Field. Nice to be with you all. Nice look at the crowd down below. Another reminder, Spinners on top, 10-8 over Boston. Jeff Poster alongside Don Boyle here. Jeff Snyder joined us. Nick Darling has been down in the field doing terrific work. And I'll tell you what, the players have not disappointed. A nice crowd in attendance here. We got some terrific highlights from that first half.
Yeah, and absolutely. It's been really a tale of two defenses. Philadelphia's defense here, but we'll take a look at Boston's offense right there. There's Brandon Malachek. This was the big huck down the field. Brian Zid all by himself, able to win that one. Give Boston their 7th point that time. Jeff Graham now in this one, directing traffic, and all alone there was Marquette, the Cricket. Now Philadelphia's offense, who hasn't had a lot of those big throws, but here was that one that ended the first quarter, I should say, all alone there for easy score there. And now Jeff Graham with that one. He wanted to go deep, but a great defensive effort there. As I said, it's been a tale of two defenses, the great defense of Philly, and Boston's kind of lagging as we see some struggling defense here for Boston against Philadelphia. It was an easy play in there for the score. This was one of the final plays of the first half. Peter Pryl had to run this one down, but you see him just watching the disc, just waiting for it. He doesn't even need to jump. He just lets it fall right there in on the numbers for him. So Peter Pryl, great way to end the first half there for Boston. But Philadelphia's defense has really been getting it done all night so far, and we'll see if that's the story of the second half as well.
Yeah, and also their clock management at the end of quarters has been outstanding. They have scored 2 goals now at the end of quarters, and as a result, they have the 2-goal lead. Plenty of games upcoming next week right here on MLU and MLU Live, and you'll want to check the MLU website, of course, for those games. But we can tell you about next Saturday's game, Boston at Philadelphia. That should be a good one. A 6 o'clock start time here on the East Coast. On the West Coast, we feature Seattle at Vancouver. That's 10 p.m. start time for you East Coast fans, and 7 o'clock on the West Coast. See, I'm just so brilliant with all my calculations. And next Sunday, you get Boston at New York, as it should be a good one. And, of course, Philadelphia playing at Washington, D.C. at 1 p.m. And is that really a 10 p.m. start time on the East Coast for that? That's a late start time. That's maybe 7 o'clock is probably what they mean there. I mean, thank God I'm not doing that one. I'd fall asleep by the start of the third quarter. Only kidding. As both teams come back on the field. The Spinners, well, they're full of energy right now. Jeff, let's talk a little bit about adjustments. Let's talk about adjustments into the second half here.
Well, for Boston, it's going to start with Jeff Graham. He had a really tough first half there, not able to get off some of the throws and was denied a couple of catches that normally he's expecting to reel in Philadelphia. I think they just need to keep up more of the same that they've been doing. Their defense have been great. They haven't bought into Boston trying to force them to make those big hucks down the field, and they've really worked their short game successfully. Boston's defense needs to pick up the pace a little bit more, cut off some of those open lanes there for passes, and disrupt Philadelphia's offense, which has not had a lot of difficulty so far.
Good look at Bill Maroon, the head coach of the Philadelphia Spinners. He's got to be pleased. Jason Adams, of course, the head coach of the Boston Whitecaps. They also have Jeff Graham listed as a player coach, of course, so he gets to commandeer things not only on the sideline but a little bit on the field. And you mentioned they've been holding him in check a little bit through the first half of play.
Yeah, Jeff Graham, we saw one of those earlier in the our right-hand side here. Graham tried to bring it in with 2 hands. He thought he got bumped, but he just couldn't reel it in. Jeff is just having a little bit of a frustrating night. We'll see if maybe the halftime there can shake things off the roughs there and get him back into form. Is Jeff not used to that tough play that Philly's given him tonight?
Well, you mentioned the Whitecaps, a very good second-half team, and in the second half of the last 2 games for the Spinners, they have faltered in the fourth quarter and also in a double overtime loss. So interesting battle there, battle of wills, a team that's confident in the second half and a team that they really need to find that confidence again.
You need to know how to finish any game, in any sport, you need to know how to finish. Anytime a team goes into a second half, fourth quarter, whatever you want to say, up ahead, you've got to have that confidence to finish things off and not take your foot off the gas, and Philly will have to do that tonight.
Good, strong pull, win at the back of the Spinners on the pull, and now the Whitecaps down by 2, a critical possession. I know it's early in the third, but Malachek will play it out to the near side, and you can tell Boston perhaps coming out with a little more urgency here as Marquette to control. They quickly work it to Pryle at the sideline here. Pryle being guarded by Murray. We have not seen much of a matchup Graham on Murray or Murray on Graham in their situations on the field. It's been others. Chow in particular has done a terrific job on Graham as he tries to hang with him now on the little dump. Comes to the near sideline. Pryle into the middle. 0-0. Jake Taylor. Over to, well, there's that physical play. Chow on Graham again, and he'll be guilty of the push that time.
I don't think Chow's too happy about the call.
He got banged up a little bit, too, down on the field. May have twisted an ankle, and that could be costly for the Spinners because I'll tell you what, Leon Chow has been terrific out there tonight.
Yeah, and he's done a great job on Jeff Graham, what you were just saying, Don. And the Spinners have been fighting injuries all season, and this is just not what you want to see if you're a Philly.
I got a feeling Mr. Chow is going to come back into the lineup. He'll be replaced by Jonathan Casey. No slouching Casey coming on the field. He's a little taller than Chow, and he goes out immediately to Mark Graham. So they resume play when the first minute, third quarter. This is Cooper. Hammers it home.
Your favorite.
Josh Marquette.
Josh Marquette in there for the score. That hammer. I said it. Ultimate players love to say that hammers win games. It's just a little catchphrase. Not always the case, however. But this time, great throw there, the great hammer, and finds Marquette. And just sitting there in the end zone, he was all alone.
So 10-9, good possession by the Whitecaps to start the second half, third quarter of play, 56 seconds in, and they have a goal. Now the officials conferring down on the field, so hold on for a moment. Of course, Jamie Rhodes, the lead referee. Look at Jamie down below.
Everything holds up, it looks like. Rule to score.
Lights are on, starting to do their work as darkness starts to settle in on Framingham, Massachusetts. Good one out of town. New York and D.C. tied at 7. That game at halftime. That's a big battle. Winner of that game will pick up their second win of the season and stay in the playoff hunt. The loser, it's going to be real difficult to recover with only 5 games remaining on their schedule. Bear, sideline, nearly some layout deep.
Great effort, though.
This is Hairnet to control it. That was the effort by Jack Hatchett. Nearly came up with it. Spinners, let's see how much composure they have, up by 1 on the road. They've been a good road team. Both their wins on the road. They have stumbled at home with their 2 losses. David Bear on the far side, back to Nick Hairnet. Jonah Wish. The youngster will play it back to Nick Hairnet. Glazer to the middle. Bear back to Glazer to the near side. From Ardmore, Pennsylvania is Mr. Glazer. Glazer controls along the sideline. Up to Scholl, he threw it too low. Scholl couldn't make the catch, and they turn it right back to Boston, and they can tie.
Yeah, great defense there on the mark by Will Neff, forcing the low throw. And it was no good.
Now a good chance here for Boston to tie. Neff plays it upfield, kind of a dangerous throw. Another low throw, caught. Little fake by Hirschberger. Hirschberger now will just lay it in. And it's caught on the run by Simmons for the score. Boston scored 2 consecutive. Off to a quick start in the third. They tied at 10.
Well, we talked about them being a second-half team, and so far early here in the third, they're showing it. Alex Simmons, as well as Seth Reinhart was right in there too, so Simmons couldn't get to it. There could have been some tips, and Reinhart probably would have came down with it. But Boston, 2 quick scores here to start the third quarter off. And it started with a great defense by Will Neff, forcing an errant throw, a low throw for the turnover. Boston doing a nice job so far.
Simmons played his college disc at Wisconsin-Madison. They play it everywhere if they play it in Wisconsin, that's for sure. Never been to Wisconsin.
Neither have I.
Never been. I do have some frequent flyer miles to use up, too, so maybe that's where I'll go.
You're looking to take a trip?
10-10 score, 7:48 remaining here in the third. If you like what you're watching down below, you can, savor the memory forever using Ulti-Photos. Ulti-Photos, the official photography partner of Major League Ultimate. Ulti-Photos features an elite core of ultimate photographers, and they can help you out, too. Check it all out at www.ultiphotos.com. They do terrific work. I mean, all those pictures on the website and beyond are magnificent. Spinners now. They've watched their 2-goal lead collapse here very quickly in the third quarter. It's been some defensive play of the Boston Whitecaps that have unsettled things here. That's Murray. Some layout D tries again on the far side by Robin Myers, who's had a nice game. He's a big guy out there, too, is Myers. Now Bear along that far side, back to Nick Hairnet. Defense much stiffer from the Whitecaps here in the second half, Jeff.
Yeah, it looks like they're kind of laying off the mark a little bit and giving Philly some space.
Oh, look at that. It's fortuitous to Murray. Might have been tipped by Jonah Wish. Wish gets up. He's okay. And Murray will soft toss it in for the score to Farfarfi. Danny Farfarfi with the goal. And the Spinners get the lead back at 11-10.
That's what I had started to say. Boston was giving the handler a little bit of space, and that time it pays off for Philly. Boston not able to catch up on defense. And Murray with the great reel in of the disc. They had to make a nice soft toss there for Fari, excuse me. Philly quickly back on top.
So 11-10, they have the lead. 6:59 remaining in the third quarter. Just want to mention Waveborn, the sunglass company that combines affordable fashion with a mission to have a major social impact. For each pair of sunglasses sold, Waveborn helps a person in need in one of two ways. They provide a new pair of prescription eyeglasses through their non-profit partner, Unite the Sight, or they fund a portion of a vision restoration and cataract surgery for a person in need. So check them out at waveborn.com/campaign/MLU to order your pair today. And you can give the gift of sight to somebody out there. So great group, and their eyeglasses, their sunglasses are terrific. I wouldn't wear them right now because it's dark outside. But they are fashionable too, Jeff, and I know you're all about fashion.
Oh, I gotta be.
There's a huck downfield. Oh, and it's going to be a score. Caught on the run by, guess who? Jeff Graham.
Yeah, Josh Marquette starting it off. Marquette and Graham, again, they account for over 40% of Boston's total offense. And that's clearly a great example of right there. Marquette able to launch that disc down the field with the huck. And Graham was all alone. How do you leave him all alone? As we see right here, Marquette throwing it downfield. A couple of bids. Well, maybe he wasn't all alone, but he was able to really outrace Nick Pirifico. Graham, he's not one of the easiest guys to cover in this league.
You know, you're so right. Leon Chow had done a magnificent job on Graham throughout most of this game, but he unfortunately got banged up and he was not on the coverage that time around, so perhaps Graham taking advantage of that, and he's very good. Very, very good as Jeff Graham, to say the least.
Yeah, exactly. There's only so many ways you can say it.
Absolutely. One of the superstars of the league. Of course, one of the things MLU looking for is that superstar figure, a couple of those, maybe one on the East Coast, one on the West Coast, maybe more than just one or two to help popularize the professional game of Ultimate. Cats in back, Hairnet to control it now. Little fake. Marked tightly, over to Shell to the near side, has some space to work with. They have not marked him all that tightly. Jonah Wish. He has been instrumental today for the Spinners. I mean, he's really been part of it all as a pivotal player. This is up to David Baer. Lays it out, and Vinny will make the catch on a nice soft toss. About 50 yards downfield for the score, and the Spinners regain the lead at 12-11.
They're doing a nice job so far tonight handling the disc, able to find Davini there in the end zone. Just really putting on the Jets and beating Misha Horowitz here. As we see it again, they set up Bear, and there's no mark, so he quickly gets it off. Seeing that Davini's all alone as Horowitz kind of just jogging behind him. Boston's defense been a couple steps behind so far tonight, and that's really been the difference. So
maybe a little uncharacteristic
yes.
The approach by Philadelphia with the hucks downfield, too, with throws of over 50 yards for a couple of goals here. So they have changed up their strategy maybe just a little. So 6:19 remaining in the third quarter. 12-11 the tally. Philadelphia on top of Boston. This one being played as advertised between the top two teams in the East. Of course, the Philadelphia win will close the gap, as they're trailing in the standings by 2 full games over the Whitecaps. Whitecaps coming in at 4-0, and the Spinners at 2-2. A good fake right there. Whitecaps now in the middle of the field, trying to work some magic. This is Graham to the near side. They lay off Graham a bit. The pass sailed along to Zid. Zid plays it up the sideline. Josh Marquette, he's got all the throws, doesn't he?
He's the multi-tooled player there.
Now back to Pryl. Peter Pryl. Fake of a pass. A little backhand flick upfield. Trying to work a give and go. No, they don't work it that way, as Cooper will just hold on. Time ticking down. Plays it out. Marquette looks sideline with a fake. He's being marked to the inside. Good break by Graham to find some open space. Cooper. Low throw. Turned it over. Purifico was veering in defensively, and that throw a little low. It's back to the Spinners. They can regain the lead here by 2.
Yeah, Philadelphia really benefiting. Cooper didn't even look at his intended target that time, and I think that cost him an errant throw, trying to fake Philly out.
Lindsey. Now the Spinners continue to push it upfield. A little bit uncharacteristic of their offensive strategy. Now they'll play it out near side, and we get a whistle on the field.
Yeah, that's a triple team they're calling. few too many black jerseys there trying to come up on the mark of Philly. Can't do that. They'll let you do 2, they won't let you do 3.
Glad you're alongside me there because I can't count the 3. This is Murray plays up in the middle. Spinners look like they could strike here. They're very close. Perfecto will play it back. Out left. And in, and it's grab for the score. Is that Murray making the catch in the darkness across field? Wow, Sean Murray makes the catch, and it's a 2-goal lead at 13-11.
Sean Murray continuing to be all over this one. Nice grab there. We couldn't really tell at first. He kind of laid on top of it with the low throw. So we take another look. When you get it back to the handlers there, it's nice. They get some space, and Murray able to come down with it. Great defensive bid, though, there. Looked like Peter Pryl trying to make the defensive effort there for Boston, just not quick enough.
How about the throw by Michael Panna? He fitted that in a small little space, didn't he?
Yeah, really threading the needle. It's amazing sometimes, those small, tiny gaps, they're able to hit those targets. I don't know how they do it. So I could not throw like that.
Just want to mention Altiapps, founded just last year. Altiapps application was designed to help teams and players track their performance on the club and ultimate field. Now, with a variety of updates and a new suite of applications, Altiapps is providing the power behind the MLU push for the in-depth and accurate statistical information. They also designed the MLU Fantasy Ultimate application, which I do not play. You can visit altiapps.com today for more information.
So 13-11. 4:22 remaining in the third. Spinners up by 2. Trying to pull off a mild upset here today. Well, they say you're only as good as your last game, right?
Absolutely, and Boston's last game was quite good, so a little surprising here tonight.
They're trying to strike here. Clark trying to chase it down. The defense is tight. Clark goes over the top and skies and scores. And gave a pretty good effort there defensively, but a nice play by Danny Clark.
Boston getting out quickly this time. They know they're down. They know Danny Clark can run the field, and he did just that, streaking all the way down. Clark with a great jump, great read of the disc.
Good look at Danny coming to the sideline here.
We didn't get to see Danny's patented bird dance, as head coach Jason Adams told me a little bit about last week.
Bird dance, huh?
Yeah, I have not seen it yet, but supposedly it's quite the show.
Looking forward to it.
Here again we see it. Clark running this one down. Was a great throw as well by Malachek. Malachek, one of the main handlers here for Boston. And Danny Clark hydrating after that one, and quite the run.
Ran about 3/4 the length of the field to catch up to that disc, didn't he? 13-12 score. Boston with a pull from right to left. 4:14 remaining here in the third. And that one's going to sail long and high and deep into the end zone. And the Spinners will quickly try to travel up. Yes, and try to be tricky with it, too. This is Bear up ahead. Katzen back. Trey back to Bear. David looks. Being marked. Plays it near side to Nick Hairnet. Hairnet being marked to the inside. They give him the sideline. He doesn't use that and goes around the mark to the middle of the field.
Philly trying to stay away from the sideline. You don't want to get pinned down there because it only really gives you the one lane to go to.
David Bear back into the center. A little fake there. A little forehand toss out right. Patrick Vinny, who's been so steady over the last couple of games for the Spinners, up to Bear. Floats it out to Glazer. Did he get it? The official fell out of the far side trying to find an angle. So he was touching grass. He couldn't make any call. Nice play by Glazer. Got that just before it hit those blades of grass. Katzen back. Hairnet. It's been a long possession. Glazer takes a look. Flips it to the near side. To Vinny. And it's thrown away. That was all due to a terrific mark right there by Robin Myers. Now Myers hustling down the field. Can he get it? And they capitalize.
I think that's actually Teddy Brouwer-Jarvis.
Sorry, 18, not 88. Can I have that call again? Because that was a great play.
Teddy Brouwer-Jarvis. We haven't seen a lot of him so far tonight, but here he does a great job on the mark. He knows that the throw was errant, and he races down the field quickly. Brent Anderson able to see Brouwer-Jarvis running down the field and rewards. He puts his arms out. Nice ready to secure that disc. Great play all around from Broward Jarvis.
Teddy Broward-Jarvis with the goal. There you go. Now he's got it. Robin Myers couldn't run that fast. I should know. I'm only kidding, Rob. So it's tied at 13. Boy, they work in transition beautifully.
Yes.
That was all hustle. Well, they made the Spinners work. When the Spinners have had to work this season, they've turned it over on occasion. That was a great example. 2:51 remaining in the third. Broward Jarvis had a very good time. Spinners had a 2-goal lead. Boston immediately erased that and actually scored, 3 in a row to take a lead. And back and forth they go. It's been a good one. 1:38 remaining here in the third quarter of play. And it'll be Murray on the pull. Throws that one high. It's going to drift down towards the sideline here, but remain in play. And a quick start here by Boston. And Alex Cooper played it up into the middle of the field now. That's Graham. Chow back out there. Good news for the Spinner fans. Really has done a nice job following Graham all over the field. He's banged up a little bit now, and he'll certainly be tired by game's end. That's Murray on the mark. He's just faked right off that mark on a great fake, and long throw downfield. This one's trouble, however. It's up for grabs. Going to remain up in the air. People sky for it. Brought down by Marquette. The shortest player, perhaps, on that little flurry, and then he floats it in for the score, and the lead back to Boston at 15-14. Graham on the receiving end.
Well, you said it, Don. That first one looked like trouble as the wind kind of kept it up in the air and floated it. Marquette, really, it seemed like he was just waiting for everybody else to crash into each other, and he could pull the disc away. So we see it now. Marquette kind of over to the side. He didn't even jump for it, and he's quickly got Graham, who ran right with it, making a nice diagonal cut there to the end zone. Marquette and Graham getting it done again.
High IQ on Josh Marquette, that's for sure.
Yes.
Staying out of trouble. Out of the pack of the big fellas, and this floats right to him. And how about Graham's hustle downfield to get open for the nice toss? So there you go, 15-14, 63 seconds remaining here in the third quarter of play. Boston back on top by 1. With a win here tonight, well, just about. I think mathematically, well, no, forget it. I'm not going there.
It's too many numbers.
Yeah, exactly. Nick Hairnet the control. Spinners need to do a good job with the disc. Katzen back with a rolling catch on the far side. Trey will flick it up into the middle. Good movement. Lavinia a nice pass to the far side. That's Glazer to control. Back to Hairnet. Nick being marked by Hatchett. He spins, able to play it back to Bayer. David Bayer back to Nick Hairnet. Takes the pass to the middle. Hatchett stays right with him. He's much taller and makes it difficult vision-wise for Nick to find an open player, so they dump it back to Katzenbach.
Yeah, Boston doing a lot what they did to D.C. last week, pushing their defense, pushing the other team backwards.
There's a nice toss. Hairnet able to feed it in for the score. And I'll tell you what, they needed that. And receiving in Patrick DeVinny again for the Spinners.
Well, Boston pushed them back, I guess, as far as they could right after my comment. And DeVinny able to find a little bit of an opening there in the end zone. We see it again. It's Hairnet that time with the assist. And DeVinny slaps that disc up in his face in celebration.
Actually, I don't think that was DeVinny. I couldn't pick up the number, actually. Might have been Murray. I'd like to see that replay again, see if we could pick that up. Very difficult to find it on the far side of the field. But, all it counts, it's a goal.
It's a goal, that's right.
And we're tied at 15. Throw all the stats out the window. As 15 all is a score with 18 seconds remaining here in the third quarter of play. So with 18 seconds left, the pull from right to left. Nick Hairnet's had a nice game today for the Philadelphia Spinners. Hairnet on the assist right there a moment ago. Might have been Murray who scored it. I don't know. Thought it was number 9, Patrick DeVinny. Maybe we can pick that up from our stat guy down press row. Scored that. Glazer. Okay, it was Matt Glazer. I figured if I asked enough, I'd finally get the answer.
Someone will get it to
Someone
you.
would finally give it to us. So we're tied at 15. Boston controlling. Time ticking down in the quarter. Desperation Huck. Intended for Clark. Clark's going to get there! How do you like it? Oh! Holy cow. He outfoxed the defender right there. It's a Boston lead at the horn, 16-15.
Danny Clark, great run. Kind of just had to wait for that one. The wind might have given a little extra push, and a great throw from Jeff Graham.
Wow.
Here we see it again. Graham had a little bit of extra time, even though the clock was ticking away. Danny Clark thought it was going to land there. Sees that it doesn't, and then falls it into the end zone. Great score at the end of the quarter.
Velasco thought he had that one covered all the way, and he got outfoxed a little bit on the float of the disc. We'll take a break. Back with the exciting fourth quarter, 16-15. Boston leading Philadelphia. We can shut this back on. Can't see it. Can't see it. Well, Danny Clark with a big grab at the horn to end the third quarter, outfoxing the Spinner defense, and it gives Boston the lead heading into the fourth. 16, a terrific second half team. This possession, I think, for the Spinners will tell the tale of the fourth quarter for them. I think it's huge.
Yeah, you want to start off strong. They're going to get the disc here on the initial pull. And if they can tie this one back up, you don't want to let Boston get on another run. They had that 3 straight scoring goal there midway through the third. You don't want to see that happen again with just 10 minutes left to go in the game.
So we're just about ready for the start of the fourth quarter. And Boston with the 1-goal lead. Well, everybody who's supposed to perform at a high level has performed at a high level in this one today. No slouches on the field. It's been very entertaining and a terrific crowd down below enjoying the action here at Bowditch Field in Framingham, Massachusetts. Easy ride right off of the Mass Pike. I guess you can take 495 from the north to get here, right? From New Hampshire, and from the south, Mass Pike off of 84, 91, I guess 95 up through Providence.
95,
and a bunch of different ways to get here. Watch out for the traffic, however. All right, the pull from right to left, the win at the back of the Whitecaps. Spinners have their good hands people out there. Good strong pull down the field. Nick Haranet will watch it float, and he'll make the catch, and Nick will start from his own end zone. Up to Trey Katzenbach. Trey plays it far side, David Baer. Baer's going to huck it downfield, and Vinny's going to have to wait for it. Can't make the catch. He was collided into. Let's see if they make the call, and they will this time. There was a bit of a lean right there as Will Neff kind of leaned into him. Good call by the officials.
Yeah, Neff did a nice job reading it. Just a little too much contact there.
Did Shell make the catch
Quick
for the
score,
goal?
yes.
So the Spinners take advantage of the infraction, and they tie it at 16.
Philadelphia doing a nice job there. I think Boston was a little caught up in the moment of the ref's call of Will Neff having too much contact and just didn't get set. And Scholl just kind of waited for it. We see it right here. That's Hirschberger not too happy that he couldn't catch up with Scholl. And it was a pretty easy play there for Philly.
You know, going back to that contact call, I think that was a great example of when you lean in to the receiver and kind of knock him off stride, you have to call it. Maybe if he had gone up to try to make the interception, you might have got a different call out of that.
Yeah, it's really when if the two of them were right there next to each other battling for it, it'd be probably a different call. But because of the fact that Philly was waiting for the disc to come down and Neff kind of just came out of nowhere, and the contact there pushing him away, that's where you get the call.
So we're tied at 16.
Out of town, into 3 quarters of play. New York leading D.C. 13-10. In the final, San Francisco 23, Vancouver 13.
A lopsided game on the West Coast. 16 all here. Plenty of time remaining in the fourth quarter. There's some contact. We'll get a whistle. Clark was bumped into, and that was Lindsey. They were just going for the same spot, that's all.
Pretty much, and Lindsey knew it too. Quickly apologizing to Danny Clark. Didn't mean to.
I wouldn't want to make Danny Clark angry at me. He's a pretty big guy. He runs ferociously downfield now. They go short, now they go long. There's a missed assignment defensively, and Graham wide open for the goal.
Jeff Graham has been all over the place tonight. He had a slow night to start, but here in the second half, he's been getting it done. And he's all alone. I don't know if it's necessarily a missed defensive assignment or if Jeff Graham can just really just put on the jets and take off, which we know he's one of the toughest guys to cover here in the league. And it was really just an easy flick, and Graham's all alone there in the end zone. Reels it in. Secure two-handed grab.
By my statistical information, 3 goals here in the second half for Jeff Graham. 17-16 the lead for the Whitecaps.
8:55 remaining here in the fourth quarter.
So San Francisco with a big win over Vancouver, 23-13. There's that pull down the field. Spinners will get it back. David Baer, seen a lot of time today. Nick Harnett up in the middle to Trey Katzen, back to the near side to Baer. Baer being marked tightly, forced to dump it back. They swing it near side, short side of the field to Baer, back to Harnett. Harnett over to David Baer, and they flick it to the far side. So they work the near sideline to the far sideline, trying to stretch that tight defense a little bit there, Jeff.
Really just like an around-the-horn type of situation. You go left to right and keep Boston's defense on their toes, trying to predict where the disc is going to go next.
Katzen back with the clock in his head, knew it was ticking down, got it back to David Baer. They're having some difficulty really pushing that disc upfield right now against this defensive scheme of the Whitecaps, which is more man-to-man. Laid out for Baer, made the catch. David's going to huck it down the field, and did he make the catch? No.
No catch.
So then he tried to make that catch, but he's well guarded. It was deflected. I believe it was Teddy Brower-Jarvis on that deflection. And now they try to capitalize. They got a wide open player that's going to be caught on the dive for the score. And there you go. They needed that. Robin Myers on the receiving end to make it 18-16 Boston.
Robin Myers with a nice layout bid there, sacrificing the body. The disc was floating. He knew he had to act quick. As you see him try and put on a little bit of extra speed, but he knows the only way to catch up to that one is throw his body down there and secure it as he goes to the ground, too. Great catch by Robin Myers.
How about that with 2 hands, too, by Mr. Myers, right? Textbook all the way. He's from Del Mar, New York, went to Dartmouth, so he's certainly smart enough to make those 2-hand catches when you need to. I love going to Dartmouth. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful countryside up there in New Hampshire, of course. 18-16 your scores at Hanover, right? Hanover, New Hampshire. Is that right where Dartmouth is? I've been there so many times.
I wouldn't know, to be honest.
You've never been to Dartmouth?
I've never been to Dartmouth.
So we'll get the pull here. 2-goal lead for Boston. Can the Spinners come back from 2 down here in the fourth quarter? This is Murray. They've done a nice job on Murray tonight. Showing a wish. David Baer fakes a hammer. plays it back. They continue to really make the Spinners work it. Panna to the near side. Nick Haranet with the catch. A wobbly disc throw. Might have been hand checked away. That defense was tight by Hatchett, and he might have deflected it.
Yeah, I think Hatchett on his little dive there might have tipped it just enough that the intended throw from Haranet didn't go in. Oh.
How's that by Panna? Big play and a score.
That's the Callahan defense right there for Hannah. You intercepted in the end zone. You don't see a lot of those right there. What a great score there by Philly. Quick, too.
Michael Callahan, Panna.
See it right here again.
Great anticipation, huh, Jeff?
Yeah, he makes that cut as if he's playing offense for Boston that time, except he's not. Able to leap in there with that Callahan defense there and the interception score.
At Dartmouth College, just wanted to confirm I had a memory in Hanover, New Hampshire, for those folks out there. 18-17 after the Panna spectacular play, and that is exactly what the doctor ordered for the Spinners.
Philadelphia trying to build some momentum as the clock is ticking away.
Good look at the coaching staff down below for the Whitecaps, wearing Whitecaps. Jason Adams and company. Sean Murray with the pull into the wind. Boston's going to get it back here. Holding on to the 1-goal lead. 7-11 the magic numbers up on the board time-wise. These two teams have used a time clock brilliantly at the end of quarters here today. Will it come down to that? Graham on the hook. Being guarded tightly, and he'll make the catch. The defensive effort by Paparone, just not enough. It just elusively floated away, and Graham knew where it was going.
Well, Matt Paparone new to the team, and he gets a nice welcome to the league there by Jeff Graham. Graham racing down the field, and Paparone learned quickly right there that Graham is not an easy cover. Malachek doing a nice job with the huck. And Graham racing down. Paparone made a good attempt. I think he jumped about a second too early, and Graham easily able to reel that one in afterwards.
Yeah, it looked like Paparone reached out, too, to try to get a little touch on Graham to try to feel where he was going, and when he did that, kind of lost his stride a little bit, and Graham knew what was going on. Malachek with that fine throw. That combination is lethal.
Pretty much. That's most of Boston's offense is Malachek to Graham.
2-goal advantage now for Boston at 19-17. Took them 11 seconds to post the big goal. Josh Marquette with a pull into the wind. That's one of the deepest pulls we've seen from that end of the field here tonight. David Baer. Nick Haranet. Haranet holding. Back to Baer, back to Haranet. No, a little fake, so they play it to the middle of Glazer. And he had to lay out to make that catch.
Nice grab.
Hirschberg was all over him. David Baer's going to huck it downfield. Shull trying to get to it. He's not going to. They're on too long.
I don't think Shull realized that one was going to him. He was still racing down the field, but the disc went up in the air. Now we get a whistle.
Yeah, back towards midfield near the area of the throw. Spinners would love a big break on an infraction, but they're not going to get that. I think we had a player who got banged up out there for the Boston Whitecaps. Wait and see. Yeah, it's in the possession of the Whitecaps at the goal line.
Yeah, we did get a substitution with Boston, so I think that was just it. Just a little bit of a bang-up play, like you said, Don.
Whitecaps turn it over immediately, and Boston will get it back, and David Baer is going to pick it on up. Back to Nick Haranet. Haranet taking a look. Little fake. Jonah Wish. Fake on that backhand side. Well guarded there by Brent Anderson. Anderson made a fabulous catch last year. Was part of an ESPN highlight reel. We've seen a lot of those. Shell, a nice catch on a fit-in pass. And he's forced to dump it back to David Baer. They swing it to the near side. To Vinny. Nice job to come back to that disc. And Haranet just bumped down a Whitecap player, so they'll be penalized 10 yards and backed up.
Boston will take that. Too much contact. That'll push Philadelphia back a bit.
There's a throw edging in off the right. And now another stoppage in play and another foul against the Spinners and backed up another 10 yards. So they're going backwards right now.
No, it ends up being a turnover.
Really? What happened there?
I think might have been a travel by the Philadelphia handler. You can't move that pivot foot. That's my best guess.
I think they had one of those calls on him last week, too. Yeah, he did stumble a little bit after the catch. He did shuffle his feet a little bit. Maybe we can get a replay on that. That was interesting. They're going to call a stall.
Stall count.
They're getting nitty-gritty here. Anderson goes cross field. He plays that one out to space, and getting over there to make a leaping catch is Neff. Those two guys have worked together in the past, obviously. A little physical play again. That's Murray on the defensive end.
Yeah, they'll take Boston right up to the goal line because, 10 yards will put them right in. So they'll have to stop at the end zone.
This is Graham. And he'll play it back. Now, that seems like a long time, holding the disc, and they throw it in after you had the stall clown earlier. Anderson on the receiving end. Boston capitalizes. They have scored 2 consecutive, and now they have a 3-goal lead at 2017.
Anderson involved a lot in that set of plays there. He had the nice cross-field play over there for the good throw, and this time getting in for the score. So we take another replay there, reaching up. Anderson's not a very tall guy. He's pretty happy about that one. Reached up with the right hand nicely. A couple of whistles benefited the Whitecaps that time.
In particular, that stall call, which
yes,
was interesting. Didn't seem like 7 seconds on that stall call.
Well, it must be that after the first foul, the stall count didn't reset, and Philadelphia did not realize it. Only must have had 1 or 2 seconds to get it off. They don't. Boston takes over.
We're going to have to put a stall clock in the facilities here. I like that. Like a shot clock in the NBA,
clock.
We'll put a stall clock in here. So 2017 the score. The Whitecaps trying to pull away here in the fourth quarter from the Philadelphia Spinners. So you're right on your game, Jeff. You were mentioning the fact that the Whitecaps are second half team.
Well, they're trying to get the fans riled up for their defense.
Fans are enjoying some very nice weather here tonight. They are wearing jackets, but it's very nice weather. 4:23 remaining here in the fourth. Whitecaps with a long pull down the field, aided by the wind. Well, it's not going to go as far as I first thought as it comes drifting down to Katzenbach. Well, Spinners and Jeffrey are losing 3 consecutive, need to play with some urgency. Michael Panna plays it out to the far side. Now they got to stretch that field a bit, perhaps, Jeff. Or can they still play their game? Is there plenty of time remaining?
There's still about a little over 4 minutes left. We'll see. I think you can do a couple of short-handed plays, short game, but eventually you're going to have to go up for those big bids, and that's exactly what Boston wants them to do because those are no sure thing.
Into the middle of the field they work it. Quickly to the near side it comes. Bafari lays it up. Schull, can he make the catch? No, the defense gets that, and they knock it away.
Great defense there.
Hatchet, I believe, on that defense.
I think it might have been Seth Reinhardt.
It could have been Reinhardt with second look. 22 and not 27.
I think the wind benefited him there, keeping that disc up in the air. And Reinhardt able to time it nicely with his jump.
There's another name in the second half.
Yep, it was Reinhardt in the replay.
Another name in the second half, Jeff, that we did not call in the first half, coming on to make a big play for Boston. So they continue to do some great things. We get a timeout by the Whitecaps. 3:20 left. They have the 3-goal lead at 2017. They're getting contributions deep on the bench here in the second half. We'll be back with more of MLU right here on MLU Live after this.
Right back here at Bowditch Field, 3:20 left. Whitecaps in possession. Out of town the fourth quarter. New York leading D.C. 16-12. Those two teams battling to get out of the cellar in the Eastern Conference. Whitecaps trying to stay on top, unblemished here in 2013. A little fake down the field, had everybody flinching.
Danny Clark had a beat on his man. Peter Pryl didn't want a chance of it. Here we go.
Long puck down the field and another score. Alex Cooper. How do you like that for a celebration?
Well, Boston's feeling it right now. They got their downfield game going. This is what we saw last week against D.C. I think I even saw Alex Cooper's same celebration last week. They've been turning their defense into better offense as we see that long huck. Alex Cooper just has his man beat, and the disc floats up. He does a nice little jump. Great grab there. Sticks the tongue out.
Does he have a name for that dance, I wonder?
I don't know.
Dancing with the Stars might be calling. That young man out there, Alex Cooper. After that long run, how do you have the energy to dance like that? There's another story. Well, 3 consecutive by Boston, and they have opened up now a 4-goal lead at 21-17.
He's still going there on the sidelines, Alex Cooper.
Well, Spinners now not only have the Whitecaps to contend with, but the timepiece, the clock here at Bowditch Field, down under 3 minutes remaining.
I'm sure we're going to see some more Philadelphia players making that long bid down the field to try and score quick. There was Bear.
Shell's going to lay it out. Michael Bear trying to catch it. Can he get there? No, on the far side.
Wow.
Oh, that's a grab. You know what? That's got to be the friction glove catch of the day by David Bear.
David Bear running. I didn't think he was going to catch up to that one.
Wow, what a catch. What a catch by David Bear.
I just started to say that Philly's going to be looking for those long ones. We see it here again on the replay. Bear running. The disc is pretty low. It's going to be close. He does. Look like he just got his fingers right underneath it between the disc and the grass. Picks it up with his right hand. What a catch.
21-18 to score.
Wow.
David Bear hauls it in. What a play.
A couple of miscues from Boston on their defense there, allowing Bear. He was all alone. They probably just thought that disc was going to hit the ground.
Absolutely. I thought it was. I was giving up on the play, but David wasn't down there. 21-18. Good lesson for all you young players out there. Never give up on the disc, right?
That's right. You stick with it, and you never know. You might be the one coming up with it.
Absolutely. Down to 2:37 remaining. Spinners need to come up with some sort of a turnover now. They need to do it quickly. Down by 3 at 21-18. Boston handling it effectively. Moving it methodically now to the near side. Pryl's had a nice game. Back to 0-0. Jake Taylor fired side. Josh Marquette.
We'll see if Boston's smart here. They can just kind of play some short toss and kill a lot of this clock. And right now, that's what's working for them.
Yeah, passes a distance probably no more than 10 yards. This is back to Graham. Quickly out to the right. They're working a little weave. That players moving all over. And they're going backwards, but it's with purpose. Down under 2 minutes left. Looked like Marquette may have taken an extra step right there, but officials don't call it.
Nice throw there, though, from Marquette.
Absolutely, and they'll lay it in. And that's caught on the run. Malachek on the score sheet with a goal, and it's 22-18.
Well,
Malachek.
Looked like Boston was starting that one off, just playing toss, trying to kill some clock. And when you get Brandon Malachek that open in the end zone, why not throw it to him, pad your lead a little bit?
Back to a 4-goal lead at 22-18. That was just great work of the disc, wasn't it?
Yeah, great throw there. Started off by Marquette, gets it over to Taylor. Taylor sees Malachek all alone, as that was Michael Panna trying to keep up, and he couldn't. Malachek, easy score for Boston.
So Boston now leading it 22-18, 1:37 remaining here in the fourth quarter. Well, it's been a dogfight throughout here today into this fourth quarter, and now
the Whitecaps have their biggest lead as we take a good look at Brandon Malachek down below as he comes to the sideline. He looks a little gassed after that, huh?
I would be too. They were running all over the place with those little short dump throws, and finally Malachek was the one tasked with the long run.
That was the three principals sitting together, Marquette with Taylor and, of course, Malachek. They all collaborated on that last goal. Jonah Wish for the Spinners. To the near side to Nick Hairnet. Hairnet back into the middle. Wish, right side, Bear. And if he'll be on the ESPN highlight reel after that grab he had moments ago. Just traveled with it. Little mental mistakes by the Spinners.
Yeah, those will cost you.
Yeah. Just about 67 seconds left. They lost that ridiculous pass in. Tip drop. Nobody comes up with it.
Couple of bobbles there in the end zone. No one can grab it.
How about that pass over the top there to even get it in the direction of the two potential receivers?
Yeah, this is when you see Boston looks like now they're just having fun out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Play like the Harlem Globetrotters. Nick Hairnet. And he's going to throw into space, and it's a bit of desperation, and no chance for Matt Glazer to catch up to that.
Basically a punt that time.
Yeah,
there.
right. Good point. Time ticking down to 30 seconds remaining. Good look at Bill Maroon on the sideline. He's probably gone 3 losses in a row. They had gone from all the way last June until May of this year without a loss.
I think the fans want to see one more huck down the field from Boston.
Down to 10 seconds left. That's Simmons with a countdown beginning. Boston,
they'll do it.
Looking for their 5th in a row. They're going to pick that up, and that's just going to hang there. The horn will sound. Another punt downfield, as you like to call it. Your final, 22-18, and Boston improves to 5-0, beating the Philadelphia Spinners. The Spinners will fall to 2-3. The fans enjoy it. We'll take a quick break. Back with our recap right after these messages on MLU Live. Back here at Bowditch Field, your final score, the Boston Whitecaps 22, the Philadelphia Spinners 18. A boisterous crowd down below congratulating the Whitecaps on their 5th consecutive win of the season. Big second half for Jeff Graham as he scored multiple goals, leading the attack and leading the Whitecaps to victory. And Nick Darling is alongside Jeff down below.
Thanks, Don. I'm down here on the field with Jeff Graham of the victorious Boston Whitecaps. Jeff, you went into the halftime down for, I think, maybe the first time this year. What did you guys change at halftime? How did you come out to beat the Spinners team tonight?
We had to go back to our offense. We had to reintroduce what we talked about week number 1, positioning ourselves and hitting the open guy. It's as simple as that. That's the offensive side. The defensive side was getting our intensity up. Their handlers are great. They bang it around a ton. They make you do a lot of work. But we looked at our defenders there and said, hey, it's time to go. And they did a good job.
Yes, they did. And so now we're going to see you headed down to Philly to trade places and have another game next weekend there. A doubleheader next weekend, I believe.
Yeah.
What are you going to be working on this week as a team?
this week as a team, it's very interesting in the MLU. We get to prepare for a week. Now this is, I believe, the first time we're playing someone back-to-back. So now we get a little bit of a chess match with the Spinners. We've seen each other tonight, and now we play again in 7 days. So we're going to be looking at the tape, of course. It's fantastic we could do that. And then we'll be making some adjustments offensively, both for our DZO and our OZO, because we turned it over too much. And that's something we need to clean up, and I think that's about us playing more as a team.
Well, Jeff, thanks a lot for talking to me, and congratulations on the win. Enjoy the celebration for now, and then back to work again, right?
Exactly. Have a good one.
You too. And we're back to you, Don.
All right, thank you, Nick. Great work down below throughout the game. Nick Darling with some terrific interviews, field level for us tonight. 22-18 your final score. The Boston Whitecaps over the Philadelphia Spinners. And apropos, I believe, Jeff, that they talked to Jeff Graham down below as our star of the game.
Oh, of course, Jeff Graham's the star of the game. He really turned it on that second half. He had a rough first half, and it really was the whole game a story of two halves. Philadelphia led that first one with great defense and some easy, smart offense for them, while Boston struggled a bit, and they turned it around in the locker room at halftime. They came out, their offense got better. But Jeff talked about the offense. I think it was the defense that really turned up their game and was able to create better offensive plays for them. So 5-0 now for Boston.
You're so right. Some terrific games coming up next week that we can talk about right here on MLU Live, and, of course, with our secondary coverage also on the East Coast and the West Coast next week. The Whitecaps will play at Philadelphia, 6 o'clock first huck to get that, a poll, I should say, to get that one underway. You have the Seattle Rainmakers playing the Vancouver Nighthawks on Saturday at 7 p.m. West Coast time. And on Sunday, the Boston Whitecaps take on the New York Rumble at 1 p.m. and Philadelphia travels to Washington to take on the Current at 7 p.m. So a lot of action throughout the MLU again next week. Well, we had some great highlights of this one, and we'll close with a couple of looks, a good dance, and a great catch. Apropos, how about Alex Cooper? Well, that's going to be the catch by Bayer, which was magnificent, wasn't it, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. It didn't look like he had it, but he got just his fingers right there underneath. You don't see those catches too often. He was pumped, but I think the real celebration and how Boston's feeling was right here. Alex Cooper. Boston will take that dance right into their locker room and into next week at Philadelphia.
All right, I've seen enough of that. Boston strong, of course, in memory of the happenings with Boston Marathon and how strong Bostonians are. And, well, here on the field of Ultimate tonight, they were certainly stronger than the Spinners as they win 22-18. For my partner, Jeff Poster, I'm Don Boyle. Great work by the entire crew behind the scenes with this one. One more time.